Hi there, my name's Julia Harris and I'm the Children's Director here at The Rock, and this video is kind of an onboarding or training video if you are planning on serving in the kidZone45 room. If you've been at The Rock for a while, this room used to be called the tweens room, so you might be more familiar with that verbiage, but it's our classroom for our 4th and 5th graders, and it's called kidZone45. To start off, I just want to thank you so much for being willing to serve. If you're watching this video, I'm assuming you're one of the new children's ministry volunteers, and I'm just so thankful for you that God has placed a call in your heart to serve with the kids and be a part of equipping the next generation with the truths of the gospel. And I couldn't be more thankful for that. And your role is completely essential and foundational to our ministry and for the gospel being preached among kids. So thank you so much for what you're willing to do. And I'm so excited and thankful to have you on my team. Second, I want to give you a little bit of an overview of the kidZone45 room, or the tweens room, if you're more familiar with that verbiage. First, it is for 4th and 5th graders, like I said previously. So those kids, the rule of thumb is you always add 5 to whatever the grade is. So the 4th graders will be around age 9, and the 5th graders should be around age 10. Once again, 4th and 5th graders, ages 9 to 10. Every once in a while, you get an 8-year-old or an 11-year-old who had an early birthday, but that's the general age for this classroom. Additionally, this classroom meets in Theater 5, so that is right when you come in the theater on the right, and that's where the kids will meet. They sit in movie seats, and the classroom will always be set up when you get there with a TV, and all the supplies will be laid out for you. Lastly, there's usually anywhere between 10 to 12 kids. That's the average. Sometimes there's a little bit less or a little bit more. I think this past week we had 8. The most we've ever had is 16, but the average is about 10 to 12 kids in that classroom. Now that we've gone over a brief overview of the kidZone45 room, I'm going to talk a little bit about what serving will look like on a week-to-week basis and what curriculum we go through with the kids. So if you can hopefully see my screen right here, we go through the Gospel Project, and it's the part of the Gospel Project for preteens. It's a supplemental material, and it's an incredible curriculum, and we've absolutely loved going through it. Every single week, you'll go through one lesson with the kids, and that lesson will always be emailed to you the week before the Sunday you're serving. So for example, if you were serving this coming Sunday, I would usually email that out to you on the Tuesday or Wednesday the week before when you serve. In addition to getting an emailed copy of the lesson, there will also always be a hard copy of the lesson printed in the classroom when you get there so that you can have it for your use while teaching the lesson, and all of the materials listed in the lesson will always be available for you. So for example, if there's a game that has something to do with a Nerf gun, there will be a Nerf gun set up for you. You'll never have to bring any of those supplies. The only time you would ever need to bring supplies is if you wanted to do an activity of your own because you read the lesson and thought a given game would be fun. Then I would ask you to bring your own supplies because I wouldn't know what game you're planning on doing. But if there is a game listed in the lesson, those supplies will be ready for you. For this curriculum, there's a leader guide, which is what you as the teacher will get, and then there's also a learner guide, which will be printed for the kids every single week. I'll explain a little bit about the leader guide and then a little bit about the learner guide. The leader guide, for example, let's look at Unit 1, Session 1. If you were teaching the very first lesson of the curriculum, God Created the World, this would be emailed to you the week before you're teaching. It starts off with a brief overview of the lesson. Then there are 2 introduction activity games. For example, I would have a cookbook, paper, pencils, and a timer, as well as modeling clay, index cards, and markers ready for you. But you as the teacher, once again, like I said before, have ownership over which games you want to play with the kids. So if you really like this game, Instant Recipes, but you don't love clay creations as much, you can just do the Instant Recipes activity with the kids, and I'll take the leftover materials back to the office after the Sunday, and those materials will be used in the future. Moving on, after the introduction game, the kids, you'll read the given passage and go through questions with the kids that they'll fill out in their packet. And then there is a closeout key passage activity. A note about the lesson, there's always a Gospel Project video that comes with the lesson that will be set up and ready to go for you. It's essentially a 2 to 3 minute summary video, and there's a TV in the classroom that you'll be teaching. You'll never have to set that up. You'll just have to press play. Once again, you could always show the kids additional videos if you come across anything really interesting that you would like to add to the lesson. Now, moving on to the learner guide, there will be always 15 to 20 of these packets ready to go for the kids, along with pencils and pens, and each kid will get one. As you go through the lesson, theirs looks kind of similar to your leader guide, except it has blanks. So they'll be filling out these blanks after you read a given passage or after you ask a question about a given passage and so forth. I think that is everything as far as the leader guide and the learner guide. Once again, all of those, a hard copy of your leader guide as well as enough learner guides for every student, and all the supplies listed in the lesson will always be there for you, ready to go. And as far as preparation, I would say 10 to 15 minutes of looking over the lesson once or twice will definitely suffice for adequate preparation for each Sunday. Last thing, something really cool that we are doing with the kids that we just started 2 weeks ago is the kidZone45 Bible Memory Challenge. This means that the kids have a given list of Bible verses, and if they memorize it, they get a prize. So there's level 1, which is 10 Bible verses. They get a $5 gift card. Level 2 is an additional 10 Bible verses. They get a $10 gift card. And if they remember this big chunk of all of Romans 8, John 1, 1 to 18, and John 10, 1 to 18, they get a $30 gift card to anywhere they want on Fairmount Avenue. So there's some awesome prizes at stake, and this is just really trying to encourage our kids to be memorizing the scriptures. To close out, just some overview expectations that I have for all my volunteers. Hopefully, if I'm asking you to volunteer and you've already said yes, and I think that you'd be a good volunteer, none of this will really pertain to you, but I'm going to go over it anyways. So first, we have absolutely no yelling or raising our voices with our kids. I would never expect that, but inside voices, and that doesn't mean the absence of discipline, but we absolutely never are yelling at the kids or raising our voice at the kids, no matter what. Secondly, there's absolutely no bad language used in the classroom with the kids. Now, sometimes I'm asked, well, what classifies bad language? I would say if you have to ask if it's bad language, just don't use it. So absolutely no bad language with the kids. And lastly, absolutely no physical interactions with kids. No hugging kids, no asking kids to sit on your lap, no going in the bathroom with kids. Absolutely none of that is acceptable. So very last thing, so there's some safety and interaction with kids expectations, and last, faith expectation. The expectation is always that you're preaching Jesus Christ and Him crucified and Him as the way to salvation. So teaching, that means that we're saved by grace. You're teaching that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and we obtain salvation through Him and no one else, and that the Bible is the infallible, unchanged Word of God. So as long as you're meeting all those expectations, you are good to go, checking all the boxes, volunteer. Thanks for this video. I hope it could help and get you excited for serving with the kids, and I look forward to having you as a part of the team.